and welcome back to Hadithi Team. I go by the good name Wangeshi Miriam, and as we were discussing earlier in our earlier episode on Hadithi, we are going straight to public participation, and we want our guests to elaborate more on the question that is coming to mind. Were the public given more time to maybe discuss their thoughts, their emotions on the DP Rigathi impeachment, and what really has inspired the whole thing?
So the issue of public participation is it's important that we understand what it is and whether we should be participating in it in the first place. I'll answer it from a surface level in the context of what is happening to the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, and then I'll go a bit deeper to try and understand public participation. Now, there are all these provisions in our laws, in the Constitution, that there has to be public participation in everything. That is fine. And I think in the context of Rigathi Gachagua, the public participation was called too soon. People didn't have both sides of the story. So you can't, what are you going to discuss? You only have one side of the story. We needed to have both sides. Then we decide before they impeach. But the whole process is rushed. I'm sure they have their own reasons for doing that. But in my experience, when you see people trying to rush things, there's usually an agenda or something they are trying to hide, or something they're trying to hoodwink people. Because with closer scrutiny, we can now discover whether the arguments make sense or they don't. That is number one. Gachagua went ahead and gave his side of the story to the public. I think he called a press briefing a day before, and then he went and gave his thing in Parliament. I don't think it was wise for him to do that, to go and expose his business and the businesses of his family and everything. I think the public have no business in Gachagua's private life. Yeah? But as a public official, then we can look at it and see whether he is in breach of the public trust. According to trust law, any good lawyer knows that you cannot be a trustee and a beneficiary at the same time. So you cannot be a trustee like you're a public officer, because public office is a public trust. Yeah, you're a trustee, and then you're also doing business with the government. Yeah, you can have your businesses running in private, but you're not doing business with the government because you cannot be a trustee and a beneficiary at the same time. Now, when I look at the Gachagua's brothers' trusts, Gachagua was both a trustee and a beneficiary, which I thought was a bit odd. But I won't get into it because I do not know the details of his brother's trust or his estate, his will. But they should have looked at him from the point of, is he both a trustee and a beneficiary during this time he's in office? But that is best explored through a court of law, because in the judges and the magistrates, they understand the law and they can be able to pick out the nuances of law and see whether he was in breach of public trust or not. But to take it to Parliament, to me it sounded like a kangaroo court or a public lynching. Basically, the whole process of impeaching Gachagua is a public lynching. And when the public is lynching you, it doesn't matter what you say. They'll still lynch you because they're out for blood. So, in my opinion, the best move for Gachagua would have been to step down before all this. Yeah. Out of principle, and say, out of principle, I will step down as the knee. You saw Jaramogi Oginga stepped down when he was in Kenyatta's government. Out of principle. You retain your honor that way. But now he's into it. They're in the process of impeaching him. I don't think him stepping down out of principle will make much of a difference.
So, in your own opinion, DP Rigathi would have resigned earlier before the whole drama began?
Yes. Yes. When he started having issues with the president, instead of coming and saying, oh, musiguse mrima, sijui, I'm not in the WhatsApp with the calendars, president's diary, instead of doing all those things, he should have just been silent and just stepped down and said, because of irreconcilable differences, I am going to resign my position because there are certain critical things the president and I don't see eye to eye on, and therefore I don't think I can, in all good conscience, continue to be his deputy.
Okay, yeah. Putting into consideration, according to the DP, his main reason for him coming out to address the public through the media was because he felt that the public who elected him into that office had a right to know his side of the story. That is why the DP came to address the media on the allegations which were made against him by these people. And now, in your opinion, you are differing. You choose to differ from this by saying that the DP wouldn't have done what he did, and would you maybe tell us more on did it really contribute to maybe his impeachment, or did it act as a catalyst for his impeachment? You know, the DP coming to address the media, did it in any way act as a catalyst to maybe impeach him, or, you know?
You know, it's like, politics is a lot of rhetoric. Inaitwa siasa, si hasa. Yeah? A lot of people will say all sorts of things. They are not true. There's a lot of things said in politics, but every smart person knows. Yeah. So somebody can come and tell you and say, hey, by the way, this person's wife is a man. It's not even a woman, it's a man. Are you now going to go and stand in public and start undressing your wife to prove to people that she's a woman, not a man?
No.
Yeah. That's exactly what he did to his family. Yeah. He should have just told them, this is private, Nini. If there's any evidence, they should table it in court. Yeah. Tukapambane kotini na anyamaze. Sometimes speaking less is better than speaking too much. And that's my take. And I'm sorry to use that analogy, but I think it best explains what Gachagua is doing. You don't need to go and expose your family's business. You're exposing your children. You're exposing your wife. Yeah. Your children and your wife exist in the private, not in the public. They have no business. You have no business bringing them into the public. Yeah, keep private things private. Yeah, and that is what our government needs to learn, because our government and a lot of people in government do not know where to draw the line between public and private. In law, we say public and private don't mix. Yeah. That's why you even hear some funny rhetorics as public-private partnership. What is public-private partnership? Yeah, you either operate in the private or you operate in the public. Yeah, there's no such thing as public-private partnership. Public-private partnership is just a new way for crony capitalists to use our public resources to make private money. Yes.
Okay. Looking into the way the president has been silent about the whole issue of impeachment of his deputy president, do you think that he has been the man behind the whole impeachment motion?
Silence means consent. Yeah. By his silence, he speaks a lot. He doesn't need to tell us that he's not behind it. By his silence, we know he is okay with what is happening to his deputy president. As much as he's trying to use proxies or other people to do his dirty work. And it is sad that the people of Mount Kenya have fallen into that trap where they spearhead the impeachment of their own. I mean, I think there are better ways they could have engaged on that. But I don't think the Mount Kenya people should have been the ones coming out to say that this guy should be removed. Yeah.
Yesterday we saw different reactions from residents of the DP household, Madeira, and most of them were dissatisfied by the decision of the National Assembly, and just seeing their representatives vote for that motion to impeach the DP was not received warmly by the residents. Do you think the representatives are actually doing the job for the people or the job for themselves?
You see, you have to be honorable at all times. And you have to safeguard the honor of your people. Gachagua is a son of the mountain. I'm not from the mountain personally, but he's a son of the mountain. And if your child is wrong, you call your child and you tell them what you're doing is not right. Yeah, you should correct this, you should do this, do this. The fact that maybe they've done it, I don't know the intricacies of Mount Kenya politics, but I think as Mount Kenya leaders, they should have sat down with Gachagua and corrected him and told him, this is what you should do. Yeah? But when your child goes out naked, that dishonor, that nakedness is reflective of you as a parent. Yeah. So when Gachagua goes there and is doing all these things that are not helping him and all that, you ask yourself, are there no wise people in the mountain who can sit him down and correct him and guide him? So I think it's a conversation the mountain should have honestly and discuss. Otherwise, just letting your child go there and you're the ones also leading the impeachment, all that. You should do the way the Somalis did. I think there was a time that, what was that, sports CS or during Uhuru's time, who was being removed. And the Wazes came and told Uhuru, you know, this guy is our person. He has an issue, there's a problem. If you're going to remove him, we will give you someone else in his stead. Yeah. So maybe that's something that the guys of the mountain could have done and said, look, if instead of impeaching this guy, let us sit down and agree, he can step down and we can give you someone else. And there are ways. Politics is negotiation. Like I said, 80% of politics is done behind closed doors, negotiations. Yeah. But allowing people to come and split you so that you have different factions is not right. I don't believe in that.
Okay, and then there is also this thing that just crossed my mind, and it's about how the concerns of the citizens on the independence of the legislature. Do you think the legislature has its own independence as it should, seeing what we are seeing from the finance bill to the yesterday's motion of DPs? Has the legislature lost its independence?
Yeah, it's an appendage of the executive. Yes, I don't think they are independent. Either they are scared, or they've been bought, or I don't know. I really honestly don't know. But to look into the public participation thing a bit in depth, there's a theory. It's called the public choice theory, and this is how I understand it. It's the only theory which looks at people's motivations for doing things. It says that all action is rational, or there's a motive behind what people do, and it breaks people into three. You have the politicians, the government bureaucrats, and the citizens. And the politicians, their interest is winning the next election, maintaining their seat. So they will say whatever they have to say, do whatever they have to say to maintain their seat, to make sure they are re-elected or whatever. When you come to the government bureaucrats, their interest is job security. That's why they've passed so many laws that is very difficult to fire anyone. And they don't perform, many of them don't perform. So they give themselves all these perks, job security, all those things. Yeah. You see, for them, they don't see why, like, whether I perform or I don't perform, it doesn't matter. My job is secure, But now when you come to the citizens just want to be left to fend for themselves and their families, to make money. So when you say public participation, it's very difficult for many citizens, many of who live hand to mouth. Yeah, if I don't work today, I don't eat. Nitarudi nyumbani mikono tupu. Now you're telling this person to drop what they are doing for that day, to go without food, to go and nini. It is in their interest lies more in making money for their families. So that is why people don't show up for these public participation things. Now, if these people want the public to be participating, then why do we have elected representatives? The people who talked about the social contract theory, I think you had, was it Hobbes or Locke, one of the two, can't remember which one. And then you had Rousseau. I like Rousseau because Rousseau, the other two advocated for representative, yeah, but participation through representation. So you elect members of parliament, senators to represent you. They do. They knew you can do other things. But Rousseau said, no, instead of a representative, we should have direct participation where everybody participates. Everybody gives their vote. If you want to pass a law, we all participate. Yeah, I think there are countries that do that. I think Switzerland does that and all that. But today we have the technology. We can do that. Maybe we should just get rid of all these politicians and we participate ourselves. We are very capable of doing it. So personally, I am more for that model because this one for elected representatives, they're very easy to compromise. Yes.
And then all eyes right now are on the Senate, and the big question remains, will the Senate be able to save Rigathi Gachagua?
I don't know. I don't know what the Senate will do. Yeah, I don't know what the Senate will do. We've never seen them handle a deputy president before. We've seen with the governors. There are many governors who would have been impeached, but the Senate stayed that impeachment. I don't know whether they will impeach him or not.
Do you think there are possibilities of him doing the motion in favor of the DP, or?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. We will wait and see. What we can do, we can just talk in hypotheticals and look at scenarios, different scenarios. So if they stay his impeachment, it will be good for him, but he will still have a hard time there, and I think it would have destroyed the relationship to a point where it's not repairable with between him and the president. If they impeach him, then he won't be able to run again for office after you've been impeached. So it's going to be very difficult. It will be the end of his political journey. Then maybe he can now be left doing private politics. But he would leave a very dishonored person. So it's not going to be good for him. So let's wait and see how it plays out.
Okay, thank you very much for being part of the show and for coming. As we wind up the episode 2, we thank our viewers very much for also making it a success, and to all our technical team for making the show a success. I would like to invite you to watch our next episode on the impeachment motion, episode 3, which will be talking more on the real issues which were supposed to be a priority to the Kenyans aside from the impeachment motion. Otherwise, for now, it's a goodbye from me, Wangeshi Miriam.